On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Iker and Lehman, presented by First Fidelity Bank, we jump right into local college football by previewing the OU-TCU game with Drew Davison. Drew covers TCU for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram and actually joined us live from Game 2 of the World Series in Arlington, which was pretty cool. We also preview Oklahoma State's big matchup with Iowa State. In the National College Football Roundup, we discuss some of the college football news from this week and preview some of the marquee games of the weekend. We give you our winners and losers of the week and wet the beak with this week's best game in the NFL, the undefeated Steelers at the undefeated Titans. To finish up, we talk about the changes the OSSAA made to the high school football playoffs in keeping it local. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right. My man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown, October 22nd, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Iker and Lehman, presented by First Fidelity Bank. First Fidelity Bank is a full-service financial institution based in Oklahoma with tailored solutions for all your personal and business needs, checking accounts, saving accounts, home loans, and much more. They do it all. Whether it's online banking from your computer or mobile banking from your phone, everything is stress-free with FFB. Making mobile deposits, paying bills online, and moving money to different accounts could not be easier. First Fidelity Bank provides free ATMs worldwide, making banking convenient wherever you are. They also give back to the community. FFB donates a total of more than $500,000 to local charities and educational foundations. Make your life easier and go bank at First Fidelity Bank. Visit ffb.com for more information. Now, we're recording this on Wednesday night, and I don't know what's going on, Ted. I'm watching baseball because it's the only thing on, and I don't know what to do with myself.
Just don't do it. Just don't watch. I mean, I will say I watched quite a bit of the game last night, and I was actually entertained by it. It wasn't too bad.
Okay.
When all else fails, I guess I can handle it. But if there's anything else at all, anything, I'll pick that over baseball.
I feel like, first of all, it seems like the whole Kershaw and the playoffs thing is being blown out of proportion, especially this year in the playoffs. It seems like the guy's crushing it from what I've seen. But were you cheering for the Dodgers? Like I don't care who wins the World Series. I don't care at all. But I found myself cheering for Clayton Kershaw in game 1, like hoping he pitched a perfect game, and I have no idea why. Is it just because people go after him so hard on Twitter? Is that what is – am I just like, you know what? Do I feel bad for a guy that's made like $230-something million playing baseball? How's that even possible? What is wrong with me?
You do feel bad for him. I don't know because – you hate whenever really good players, for whatever reason, don't shine in those moments, and then they get a label, and a lot of time it's unfair, and it really is in Kershaw's instance. So, I was really interested to see how he responded, and he was nails, and obviously they gave him some good run support. But after they had the big lead, I was pulling for the other side. I was like, okay, let's get some runs going. Let's get a comeback cooking. And they did. And they got out of a jam whenever they were scoring some runs. I'm not sure, 7th inning maybe. And they hit a liner right up the middle, and that pitcher snagged it and turned it into a double play, or else they really had an inning going there.
Yeah. Now, we are recording this during game 2 of the World Series. It is currently the top of the 4th, and we couldn't escape baseball even when we did our interview for the preview for OU-TCU, because we've got an interview with Drew Davison, who covers all things TCU, but covers TCU football very closely for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and he is actually at game 2 of the World Series. He's literally covering the game. So you're going to hear in this interview, people, you're going to hear the organ playing in the background. You're going to hear the fans. It was kind of cool, Ted.
I thought it was really cool. It's cool until some people don't like it, right? And the very few are going to let their voices be heard. But just now, we're telling you guys, we thought the ambient noise with the World Series happening in the background was pretty cool. So
we're sports
stuck it.
guys.
That's
We're
right.
sports guys. It's World Series noise. It's kind of cool. Come on.
It's an
Okay.
exclusive, man. Getting a guy from the game to do the
Yeah.
pile.
Yeah. And he covers TCU closely. I mean, it was perfect. All right. Well, this interview with Drew Davison is brought to you by Will and Wiley Hard Seltzer. Guys, stop acting like you're too manly and just accept it. Hard seltzers are amazing. And there's only one hard seltzer that we drink on this podcast, and that is Will and Wiley Hard Seltzer from Coop Ale Works. It's perfect for any occasion. We drink it by the pool, at the lake, and at the tailgate. It's made in Oklahoma, and it is absolutely delicious. Will and Wiley is customized for the Oklahoma lifestyle. Go find it right now in a store near you, and go follow them on social media at Will and Wiley. If you're drinking some because of us, tag us in your social media posts to let them know. All right, here's Drew Davison talking TCU. It is our pleasure to be joined by a man that covers all things TCU athletics for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and he is coming to us live from Game 2 of the World Series. He's in the press box. This is unbelievable, Drew.
If that's not exclusive, I don't know what is.
I know we're right here in the third inning, Rays up 1-0. So, but yeah, I had to jump at the chance to cover a World Series without the Rangers or a hometown team.
How we now? Obviously, we want to dive into TCU with you and preview this OU-TCU game. But how weird is it to be able to cover the World Series like this? I mean, it's such a bizarre scenario. Like, we've got a team from Florida and a team from California playing in Texas. Like, it makes no sense, but I mean, 2020, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's perfectly 2020. Yeah, it does make no sense. It kind of reminds me of like covering the Colonial with no fans. It's like, you know, a golf tournament, you need galleries, right? And cheers and whatnot. But I will say the Dodgers fans have come out in pretty good numbers here, it seems like, to Globe Life Park. I think, you know, they got some, you know, a lot of DFW people are from California are relocating here. And then, of course, they travel pretty well, too.
How's the facility? Is that your first time in there? There's been some mixed reviews.
I understand people want to hate. It looks like a George Foreman grill or whatever. But I'll tell you what, and it's not anything great when the roof is closed. When the roof's open tonight, it's a beautiful ballpark, and I think fans will appreciate the AC when push comes to shove. But yeah, I mean, I can see, you know, where people have knocks, and, you know, across the street, Globe Life Park's still a beautiful looking ballpark. But you know, this one will do for now. So. Yeah.
Well, they put a lot of money into it, and as long as it's nice, I mean, I don't really care what it looks like. But all right, let's get to.
I mean,
it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Let's get to this OU-TCU matchup, and let's start with the TCU offense. So when you look at them offensively, clearly the key guys, Max Duggan, now an absolutely wild story with the heart issue and him already being back playing. But how has he looked so far? He got banged up a little bit against K-State, had to come out for a few plays, few series. How is he doing, and how do you think he's played up to this point, Drew?
Well, Gabe, I think he's played pretty well, all things considered. I mean, not missing, I think, close to a month of training camp. You know, TCU really didn't want him to play in the Iowa State game. They thought he needed another week to build up his conditioning, build up his strength to be able to play a full game, full 4 quarters, and they thought another week would allow him to do that. Obviously, the game kind of dictated a change there, and I thought he handled himself well. He led some touchdown drives, got TCU back in that game. Then at Texas, I thought he looked night and day from year 1 to year 2, kind of the strides you would have hoped he would have made just in terms of his accuracy, in terms of his leadership and kind of what he brought to the offense. And then last week or 2 weeks ago against Kansas State, kind of saw some of the freshman Max Duggan where he wasn't as accurate, wasn't as pinpoint, but you know, at the same time, he is still a young quarterback. So I do think he's made some good strides, especially accuracy-wise.
I've got some questions about this game, but in the lamest joke of all time, I'd like to take a step back and see how we got
Right.
here. And it's been a strange offseason. Okay, we had Patterson had a little ordeal there with the team. The timing
Right.
could not have been worse. And then you get into training camp. They have to shut down several times because of virus numbers and contact tracing. They've had games canceled. It's been difficult for them where they are now. And like, how has this team managed that? And do you think that, because I believe that everyone's going to start kind of hitting their stride right about now, because we're kind of worked through the virus stuff and got some experience under your belt. So how was that portion working through those difficulties? And do you think that they're about to really start making some strides as a football team?
Yeah, Teddy, I do, and it's kind of like everything this year. It's kind of been a speed bump type season, right? Just when TCU got everyone back on campus and was getting practice started, went through their summer workouts. Gary Patterson says the racial slur, and it's kind of an ordeal and a speed bump that they were able to kind of get over and figure out as a team. They wanted to keep it in-house. Of course, it was made public. But, Gary has a lot of support in the locker room still, and of course, from former players. And then when you look at training camp, things are going well. But like you said, and I think a lot of teams, just when you're trying to get in a rhythm, you hit that speed bump, whether it's, positive cases or close contact or whatnot. You have the setback. And then, of course, TCU, you never want the starting quarterback to miss an extended time of training camp. So that is probably more detrimental than most teams who are battling through it. And TCU's kind of had, they had to cancel or postpone the SMU game, so they weren't able to play a non-conference game before conference season. So they have had kind of a speed bump year. And Duggan not playing the first half of Iowa State, another kind of speed bump. So, but right now it seems like they finally got some people healthy and they're healthy, clicking on cylinders. They kind of know what they have after this 3-game stretch. So I do feel like they're going to find their stride. And, this is kind of when Big 12 play would usually start for most teams after 3 games. So they obviously some valuable learning lessons, losing some of these conference games, but at the same time, they know what they got a little bit better now.
Drew, when I look at this offense, I love what Max Duggan brings to the table. As he continues to improve as a passer, clearly his running ability makes him a huge weapon in this football game. But is that offensive line any good? Because I was watching the K-State game again, and I know they had a couple guys go down in that one, but they just could not protect Max Duggan at all, Drew.
Yeah, I mean, that's been kind of the number one question. It's not the sexiest thing to write about, not the sexiest thing to talk about offensive line, but is, I mean, throughout the offseason, we knew that was going to be a question just because they lost their top 3 tackles. They lost their best interior lineman in Cordell Awagwu. And in fact, they opened the season with only with no really returning starter, so to speak. A couple of their guards had played, and Austin Myers, the left tackle, had made a start or two, but that not like a full-time starter type guy. So that's been a big question. They have to figure out something there. I do think they've struggled. Duggan's been under too much pressure. Everyone who watches the game can see that, but a guy like Wes Harris has had a pretty good year coming off an injury, and he's played well. So there's been some good, I guess, when the whole unit has pretty much struggled. But TCU does like some of the talent, some of the upside. And again, being thrown into the fire against the Big 12 right off the bat certainly didn't help an inexperienced line. Those were some tough learning experiences, but I think they do feel better going forward, and they've got options behind some of those guys, so they just got to find the right 5 to get by and figure it out. But yeah, I mean, there's no question that was an issue going into the season, and it remains an issue 3 games in.
I feel like over the last couple of years, TCU skill position wise has been almost as good as anyone in the conference. The wide receivers they've had through there, Rager most recently, Darius Anderson, Alana Lua at running back. They've had a bunch of different, pieces there. But they haven't had a quarterback that can get those guys the football and run the offense. Well, now I feel like they finally have the quarterback, but maybe the pieces there skill position-wise aren't there. Am I missing something, or are these guys just young and there's going to be some emergence here throughout this, once this offense really starts clicking?
Yeah, today I think consistency. I mean, they have to be more intentional about finding ways to get the ball in playmakers' hands. And a guy like Tay Barber, they have high hopes for. He caught a ball every game as a rookie. But, he hasn't really gotten going. Quentin Johnson, the true freshman who flipped late from Texas to TCU, he's flashed, right? He's had some big-time catches, but, again, just finding a way to get him in a rhythm, kind of like, it never seemed like Jalen Rager really got in a rhythm during a game last year. So they've got to figure out how to get these guys the ball more and in opportune situations. And a guy like J.D. Spielman, who's questionable for the OU game, but, he's a guy who is a playmaker for Nebraska, could have left there as their all-time leading receiver before transferring to TCU. So they do have talent there. They got a young running back corps, but Zach Evans was a five-star prospect. He hasn't really gotten much action yet, but his upside is obviously very high. They got a kid named Darwin Barlow, a running back. But, it's one of those things where are they going to go with the running back by committee, or are they hoping someone steps up and becomes the bell cow, so to speak? So they do just have, inexperienced but talent as well. But I do agree they finally got the quarterback, and I think Max Duggan's going to, just continue to help and get.
We'll see if a guy like Darius Davis, who had some moments right in that K-State game, can do anything for him. We'll see about that. Now, shifting to the defense, Drew, clearly Gary Patterson team, always known for defense, but kind of uncharacteristic for them. They're really struggling to stop the run right now. With what you've seen from this team, what's going on with that?
Well, I mean, just like we mentioned, the offensive line struggles. They're having some D-line issues, and they've got younger players, I guess. They lost Ross Blacklock, their best defensive tackle from last year. The pass rush has been an issue for 2 straight years now. I mean, they've haven't been able to get pressure on the quarterback. Last year, they only had 22 sacks, which is the least in Gary Patterson era. This year, so far, 3 games, they've got 4 sacks. So, just getting pressure on the quarterback, trying to keep offenses honest, so to speak, and things like that. But, yeah, I mean, they've been gashed in the running game. I think it starts up front. Garrett Wallow's obviously, one of the top Big 12 linebackers. Led the conference in tackles last year. So, but he needs to start, probably making more plays too and making the right reads and stuff like that. So it has been interesting. I will say some of those runs or some of the yardages have come on big plays, right? They've been explosive plays. They've been broken plays. Like Breece Hall had a 75-yard touchdown run and I think a 49-yard touchdown run by Iowa State's other running back. So the yardage is kind of skewed, just from those big plays. But there's no question. I mean, you can't give up 180 yards rushing a game and expect to win.
I think we've got an incredibly unique situation where, obviously Oklahoma has the one non-conference game against Missouri State, but that's a worthless game. You can throw it out. We've played the 3 exact opponents. So we've got, at this point in the season, we've played the same 3 people. We've lost to the same 2 teams. We both beat the same team. They've all been incredibly close football games. Now, the mindset around here is, people are massively disappointed right now, and the football team is answering a bunch of tough questions. What's the mindset around this TCU squad right now? I mean, obviously they're disappointed. Their games that they feel like they could have won, but do they feel like they're in the right spot, or do they feel like this is kind of it could be a massive turning point in the season downward if they don't win it.
Well, I think it could be a turning point downward, especially, you just want guys to have belief. And Gary Patterson's talked about, hey, they need to bring more energy. So if you keep losing, that obviously becomes more difficult, right? Just expecting your guys to keep buying in and believing better days are ahead. So I think it is a turning point. And the last 2 years that they were 1-6 in one-score games last year. They're 1-2 in one-score games this year. All 3 of their games have been decided by one score. So 2-8, and I'm sure those close losses become demoralizing. So they've just probably the Texas win, you could tell just they felt so much better, and you could just sense the confidence just even in the post-game Zoom, right? Just talking to the guys. So they just got to make those couple plays, those couple game-deciding plays, and win some close ones, and kind of get that belief back, because they're not too far off from being 3-0, but they're also not too far off from being 0-3 either.
Yeah, that is a really good point. Teddy and I will both be there in Fort Worth as part of the OU radio call. What is the fan situation? What kind of environment is Oklahoma going to be playing in this one, Drew?
Yeah, so TCU, I think like a lot of Texas colleges, they're pretty much limited to 25%. So that's for TCU, that's about 12,000 fans in a 46,000-seat stadium. And the fans have come out. I'm pretty sure have sold right about the max or at the limit they've kind of set. So, excuse me, the fans are into it. They're hoping for big things, and I'm sure they feel like, hey, if there's ever a year to get OU, this might be it.
Whenever I look at this game, I feel like the formula for Oklahoma is really easy whenever you talk about it. Run the ball, okay? Stop the quarterback run. Take care of the football, limit turnovers, and don't shoot yourself in the foot, and hopefully win special teams. Those are the 4 keys. And for us, that's, it's incredibly simple. The problem is we're almost dead. I think we're 9th in yards per carry running the football. We're dead last in rushing touchdowns given up. We're dead last in turnover margin. And special teams has, outside of a blocked punt against Texas and a blocked field goal, has been a disaster up to that point. So for me, I mean, the formula is really easy for Oklahoma, but I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off. And whenever you look at those 4 categories, how do you feel TCU is going to be able to stack up there?
Yeah, well, just starting with the takeaways, I mean, that's my number one key. I'm sure it's the number one key in most football games, right? But TCU's forced 4 turnovers. They haven't really, they're 2 safeties, Trey Merrick and Ardarius Washington. They'll be playing on Sundays. They haven't had an interception yet. If there's a way to rattle Spencer Rattler, pardon the pun there, but, they've got to put the young quarterback in uncomfortable situations and trying to get him to continue making some poor decisions. And obviously he's thrown 5 interceptions, like you said. So I think that's the key for TCU right there is kind of the takeaway game. And that kind of coincides with getting pressure on the quarterback and trying to increase that sack total. So I do think that's an area where TCU may be able to have a slight advantage. As far as the running game, TCU's offensive line has struggled like we've talked about, but they do have some pretty good talent there, right? I mean, Zach Evans is a 5-star recruit. Darwin Barlow has put on weight. He's faster. He looks pretty good. They got a kid named Marquee Foster, the best running back out of Wichita Falls, that city's best running back. So he's got some talent. And then they got another true freshman named Kendry Miller who's played pretty well. So they do have some opportunities or talent, but it's not proven. So we'll see if, again, Oklahoma kind of seems like hey, if they can't have success against a team that struggled against it, we'll see. But stopping the run, that to me that's a coin flip. I have no idea if TCU is gonna come out with a much improved game plan and be able to stop the run and stuff it. I do know Gary Patterson and Lincoln Riley are two of the best, in terms of just chess match and things like that. So I'm intrigued, just like every fan will be, just to see how OU's running game fares against TCU. But I do think, that they've got good linebackers, and I think coming off a bye week, having 3 games under the belt with some young defensive tackles, I do think TCU should make some strides there.
All right, Drew, before we let you go, man, let's get a prediction for this game and also a World Series Game 2 update.
All right. Well, Game 2, we are headed to the top of the 4th. It's still 1-0 Rays. Been paying attention to you guys more than the game here this last inning, but yeah. So we'll see what happens in the game, but obviously a tight game. Looks like it should be a good one. As far as prediction, and I forgot to mention the special teams that Teddy talked about, but I do think, just with how TCU's played, and last year's game was a 1-score game, I think it's going to be another close game. My brain says Oklahoma should win this game just because they've got more talent, and I do think, TCU's offensive line issues and struggles slowing down the run. But I've been so bad with my predictions that I'll just say – I'll just flip it up, and I think I said TCU 30-28 on a last-second field goal. So TCU does have a pretty good field goal kicker, Griffin Kell. He's got a pretty good leg. He can make it from 50-plus. So I do think it's going to be a tight game. And to be honest, I know both teams have 3 games under the belt, but I have no idea what to make of either team, because TCU looked good against Texas and then not great against K-State. And it's one of those kind of years that, your guess is as good as mine. Yeah,
I feel you on that. Well, hey, man, we really appreciate the time. I know the circumstances a little bizarre, but actually pretty cool. We get the organ in the background, kind of fun.
Yeah. Hey, it worked out. It's not the COVID policies kind of worked in our favor because everyone's like 6-7 feet apart on press row.
Is nobody in press row giving you the evil eye?
Not yet. I've got my buddy Evan Grant over there. He's busy pounding away at his laptop, so I don't think he's heard one comment about TCU or Oklahoma football. So, he's dialed into Game 2.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, thanks, guys.
Well, that was pretty cool. Teddy, what was your favorite organ tune that we heard there in the background?
Did we get, was it America the Beautiful or something in the 7th inning stretch going on there as well? Possibly.
I think he said it was the 3rd and 4th during the interview. So
no.
That theory. I just hope we don't get sued by Major League Baseball. That's all I'm really worried about.
I thought I heard someone singing and then the crowd start cheering afterwards. Oh, that's funny.
Now, you kind of mentioned your keys to the game, Ted, and I think you're spot on with those. Clearly the turnover battle, the ability for each team to run the football, special teams. But there are a couple things in this game I'm looking for Oklahoma. And one of them is kind of because of a personal experience playing against TCU when I was a player. So what a lot of people may not realize, and everyone knows about TCU's defense, right? The 4-2-5 structure and how Gary Patterson has adapted and added some of the 3-man front, 3 safety look stuff. But one thing to really keep an eye on in this football game, and I know this is really boring, but the offensive guard position for Oklahoma. TCU's defensive tackles, they play a little differently than a lot of defensive tackles do across the country. And they're so well coached, and they're all built the exact same. They're a little short. They're all strong as hell. They play with great leverage. They play with great technique. And they play more head up on guards than you see a lot of teams. Normally you see teams, they're in a shade, they're in a 3 technique, they're in a G or 2I, whatever you want to call it, but they will get in 2-2 techniques. And it makes it really difficult for guards because those guys play heavy into the offensive guards. And I remember that so well with this defense because when we played TCU, when they got into the Big 12, I actually played some guard against them because they make it so difficult on the guards. So I flipped during that game. We thought our best 5 was bringing Ty Darlington, putting him in at center and putting me at guard because of the challenge that their defensive techniques present for the guard position. So it got me to wondering, like, could we see Bill Bedenbaugh mix it up in this game? Because I don't think Marquee Hayes and Tyrese Robinson have played great football. They've been good at times, bad at times, but I don't think they've played with the consistency that Bedenbaugh has been looking for. So we know that Chris Murray, he's eligible. Now he's coming off the injury. I don't know how game ready they feel he is, but when he's healthy, I know they think he can help this football team. But if he's still a little banged up, I wonder if we'll see something crazy. And by crazy, I don't mean anything elaborate, but I know Bedenbaugh trusts Ian McIver. And if Tyrese Robinson and Marquee Hayes, remember, those 2 guys, tall, really tall for the guard position. These defensive tackles, especially the Bethley kid from TCU, not tall. Whatever they're listed at, it's a lie. And they play with great leverage. They get underneath tall guys' pads. If those guys struggle at some point in this game, I think we could see Chris Murray, but I think things could get weird. And if it comes to it, if those guys struggle enough, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we see Creed Humphrey play some guard in this football game. Now, I don't know anything, but I just know that I kind of know how Bedenbaugh thinks. And you want to get your best 5 out there that you trust the most.
Especially if you have a bye week to work it a little bit.
Exactly. It's just a thought because it just came to my mind because I went through it. I was our best interior guy, and they moved me to guard because of how that defense plays. It's just something to keep an eye on. And maybe Tyrese Robinson and Marquee Hayes play really well. But with Creed Humphrey being your best player and their defense putting a ton of stress on the guard position, and it's sometimes when you play TCU, when you're the center, you feel like you're blocking nobody because they're playing so heavy into the guards. So I went back and watched our game from 2012, and I was like, oh my God, I'm playing guard. And I remember it, and that took me back to thinking about that game plan and what was going on and getting your best 5 out there, the 5 you trust, and all those things. And, the leverage matchup with these guys from TCU. And it's just that we haven't seen that much consistency from Hayes and Robinson. So I wonder if it's going to get mixed up a little bit. It was just, I could be completely full of shit, and this means absolutely nothing. And I'm just, going down a rabbit hole for no reason. But it's something that I know we did in the past. Now I was a different O-line coach then, but it's possible is what I'm saying. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
One of the things I think is interesting, like if they do it and even if they don't, is, the running game. You've been asking for a little bit more outside zone stuff, and can Creed reach it too? I mean, or is that something that you're just going to have to go gap scheme?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Now they do some different things with their front. They get really versatile. A ton of 4 down front, right? He'll play under. They'll play shade. They'll play over. They'll play, what a lot of people call the 2-2 techniques. They'll call it like a deuce front. They do it all. So I wonder, and if I'm Creed Humphrey, like. And I've talked to Creed about this before. how many left-handed centers are in the NFL? Like, at some point, you want to get some guard on tape.
Yeah.
For the NFL scouts. I don't know. I have no idea if this is going to be the week, but it was just a thought that I had, going back and thinking about the matchups I had with TCU in this defensive scheme. And Patterson, he continues to adapt. And I'm just wondering, we could see that O-line get mixed up just a little bit.
No, and if they've got a combination that they like, I'm all for it. The only thing that I would say is, and I'll defer to you on this, but it seems like they haven't had a whole lot of continuity up until this point, and maybe you're starting to get that a little bit. And if you start moving some guys around, does that change up the whole process again? I mean, maybe it's not that big of a deal. Those guys are all in the same group and in the same meeting rooms constantly. But is that going to be a factor? Like, even just bringing Murray into the fray right now, even if Creed does stay at center.
Yeah, I think you got to get your best players on the field, and if a guy's not performing at a high enough level, like I know what you mean, the chemistry, the continuity, the communication up front with the offensive line. Whether it's
getting beat, they're getting beat.
Yeah, if someone's not doing their job, get them off the damn field. Yeah. I mean that's how it is for me. I'm all about the chemistry and the nonverbal communication and all that shit.
You guys can ride together on the bus on the way over and hold hands if you want.
Eat a meal together, figure it out. Or I guess they can't even do that anymore. But one other thing that when I was going back and I was watching the Texas game and some of the stuff that OU did on third downs defensively, and then I was watching some of TCU this week. They are relying on freshman running backs, right? They've got the Kendre Miller kid. They've got Darwin Barlow, Zach Evans. And if OU can get them into third medium and third and long, I just love some of the stuff they did against Texas where they were using David Agwebu in the pressure package. Because
same thing they did with Kenneth Murray last year. It's a bare front.
Exactly.
And you've got those two backers on the outside edge.
And
great third down package.
And he did some things against Ehlinger where sometimes he would just float into the middle and spy. They'll do that obviously against Max Duggan. But if he's able to add to the rush or involved in those twist games, and it's David Agwebu one-on-one with some freshman running backs, I love that matchup. So that's just like a game plan thing, like something I noticed they were doing against Texas, and then something that I've noticed TCU has struggled with. So I think that's got to be – I think we're going to see Agwebu continue to get more and more snaps, have a bigger role on this defense. And if they can somehow manipulate it to get that matchup, Agwebu on freshman running backs and pass protection, ooh, boy, sign me up.
Yeah. And, I mean, I love that package. My only problem with it right now, and it's not a problem, it's just a preference. But, I mean, Duggan, I like him. I think he's a gritty kid. He's tough. He's athletic. But he's not Aaron Rodgers back there.
That's a good point.
Heat him up. Bring it. Let him try and, scramble around, account for the unblocked guy. I mean, are our cover guys, the best in the conference on the outside? No, but their wide receivers aren't the best either. I like that matchup. I would bring the heat on Max Duggan.
Yeah, I'm with you. Test that heart. See what
there
I did?
There you go. I like it.
Get it? No, that kid's tough as nails. He's fun to watch, but yeah, bring the heat.
He's almost too tough. He's doing
That's
some
a good
of
point.
The things
he's done some stupid things.
Yeah, I get it. You're competitive, but if you get hurt and can't play, our season is toast. So you don't have to try and run over somebody on every single snap. You don't have to do it. It's okay to slide. It's okay to step out of bounds.
He's like TJ Pledger, but a quarterback. just like seeks contact. You're like, you know what? You can get down and protect yourself. You can run out of bounds. It's okay. No. All right, Ted, let's move on to Call Your Shot. And Call Your Shot's brought to you by Rock and Roll Tequila. Rock and Roll Tequila is the ultra premium tequila that hits all the right notes. It's won all kinds of awards for its superior taste and smooth finish. To find a store that has it, visit rockandrolltequila.com or check out their Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. This stuff is good. If you don't want to take my word for it, maybe you'll listen to this guy.
This is Coach Bob Stoops. When you're a college football coach, it's important to have an eye for talent. The same holds true when choosing your tequila. When I tried Rock and Roll, I liked it so much, I decided to become a partner in this Oklahoma-owned company. Crafted in the highlands of Jalisco, Mexico, the smooth taste of Rock and Roll's triple distilled platinum, our añejo, called Cristalino, and the incredible premium quality mango tequila are awesome. Our defiantly unique guitar-shaped bottles make it easy to find, and you'll love the ultra-premium quality and taste. No excuses. Make Rock and Roll your game day tequila. Tastefully rebellious, start the party with Rock and Roll.
Okay, put the tweet out there. Give us your boldest prediction for the OU-TCU game. And John Jeffries at Jeffries6306 on Twitter is calling his shot, Ted. And he says, Rattler handoff to Weiss on a jet sweep / end around. Rattler then takes off the other way. Weiss stops and throws to a wide open Rattler for a touchdown. Calling it right here. You heard me. Okay. A rather specific prediction from our man, John Jeffries. That is a bold shot that he just called.
Here's the problem with that play. There's got to be a timing element to it. You can't just, and on a quick, if he's going to throw it, it can't be the touch pass because that's a forward pass.
Correct.
It's got to be either a handoff or it's got to be a lateral. And if you go under center and hand off a quick and then sprint your ass off out the backside, you're going to draw some attention.
No, it'll be fine.
There's got to be a little bit of nuance where you go up and maybe fake like you're going to block the defensive end and then release. So I'll say this, they're going to do something. Lincoln has something up his sleeve every single game, especially coming out of a bye week. So there's going to be something interesting. And he's done some really cool things. Like, it wouldn't shock me if you had like if like you handed off a quick to Theo Weiss and like, he would have to like motion, line up in the backfield, hand it off to him on like a zone play away, and then toss it to someone else on a reverse, and then they threw it to Spencer Rattler. I mean, that would make sense, but you got to have one more moving part in there for the timing to work, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. But
all that to say, yes, there'll be some type of trick play.
Yeah, especially, and that's something that, Gary Patterson, he preaches flying to the football, aggressive. Now, he wants his defense to be smart, but when a team plays like that, and I know this sounds weird, but when a team plays that hard, you can usually pull something on a team like that. So I'm sure Lincoln's got something dialed up. They'll have it ready to go. I do want to give a honorable mention to at Asbel_Tony, who he called his shot and he said Gary Patterson will be taken off the field for dehydration, parenthesis, sweating excessively, receives an IV and returns to field. So that was pretty damn good.
At what point is there going to be someone, with one of those metal things that the IV hangs on, where just
wheel it around
on the
with
sideline and follow him around with it?
The get back guy has to have the IV stand and he has to pull him by the belt. Oh,
or he has like a beer dispensing helmet, but it's got like IV sacks stuffed in there.
It's perfect. All right, Ted, one more thing. Talking local college football, there's a rather big game in Stillwater, and I don't know if you heard, but number 17 Iowa State will be coming to Stillwater to take on the number 6 Oklahoma State Cowboys. And with what's happened with OU so far, this is possibly the most important game of the year in the Big 12. I think this is the best game in the country this weekend, and we are about to find out how good Oklahoma State is, because up to this point, from what I've seen, and because I haven't seen Oklahoma State as much, I think Iowa State has shown themselves to be the most complete football team in the Big 12. Now, we haven't seen Oklahoma State since October 3rd, so that could have a large part to do with me saying that. I mean, it's just reality. We haven't seen them in a while, but Oklahoma State is going to find out how good that defense is. Their physicality is going to be challenged. Iowa State's going to come out in the 3 tight ends. Breece Hall, we all know how fantastic he is. I think Iowa State will test the edges of that defense in the run game. I think they'll run it right at Trace Ford and make him play the run as opposed to doing what he's great at, and that is rushing the passer. Now, if Oklahoma State can stop the run and they can make Brock Purdy have to beat them throwing the football, well then, obviously I love Oklahoma State's chances. And then Trace Ford and Calvin Bundage can get after the quarterback and go get him. But I'm expecting to see Spencer Sanders, a quarterback for Oklahoma State. And I am excited to see Chuba Hubbard in this football game, because leading up to this game, Chuba's been hearing about how good Breece Hall is. He had to hear the stuff about L.D. Brown earlier in the year. And now he's on the big stage in a big game. I imagine Chuba's going to be extra motivated in this football game. Now, when you look at this matchup, Ted, what kind of stands out to you?
Well, I mean, there's a bunch. I think we have the matchup, and you pointed to it, between the 2 best running backs in the conference right now. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, honestly, right now, I think Chuba's the faster guy, but I like Breece Hall a little bit more right now from what I've seen. But, I mean, it's obviously really close. So I think whoever can run the ball better is going to be far better suited to win the football game. As of right now, I think it comes down to, what do you trust more? And I trust Iowa State's defense. I do. I've seen them for multiple years play really good football. I think they've got right now maybe the best pass rusher in the conference in Jaquan Bailey.
Even though the McDonald kid actually leads the league in sacks, which is weird.
I mean, they get him in some, 3rd down packages, and he's a good speed rush that, kind of counters it. So they get to the quarterback really well. And I trust Brock Purdy more than I trust Spencer Sanders. I haven't seen Spencer Sanders. He's got one drive this year, and what I remember from him last year was a mistake-prone, turnover-prone quarterback once he got into Big 12 play. And having watched Iowa State's defensive line, we just mentioned 2 guys right there that are going to be getting after the quarterback. And, they have really good pressure packages where they bring those 2 Mike backers or 2 inside backers in tough, and they'll either bring guys and add the safety late, or they'll drop everyone out and drop 8. They're really good, man. And I think that's a game where Spencer Sanders is going to make a bunch of mistakes. I do. I trust Brock Purdy right now more than I trust Spencer Sanders.
I do think it's a big disadvantage for Oklahoma State that they haven't played in so long.
I do too.
I wonder what they've been doing in practice. Like, they had to have gone live like at some point, right? I mean, you would assume they've had to do something, but
I would never assume that a team would tackle during the season anymore. I left that years ago. So, I mean, that's just me, though.
Yeah, and speaking of Spencer Sanders in that game, I think his mobility, his athleticism is going to have to play a big part in that game, because, man, Iowa State's physical, and we got to remember, like, this is still, although they've played better than I thought they would, this Oklahoma State line is still patchwork. Remember, they had their entire right side go down. Like, this isn't even the best they've had to offer when the season started. So with those tough bastards from Iowa State up front, I just don't know if they're going to be able to get that running game going. I mean, we saw Chuba get bottled up by Tulsa. I'm pretty confident that Iowa State's defense is better than Tulsa's, but I do think that Spencer Sanders and his legs, he's going to have to extend some drives with his legs. He's going to have to make good decisions. I think that's where the game is won and lost for Oklahoma State.
I agree.
I think it's if Spencer Sanders plays well, they'll win. If he doesn't, they'll lose. And it's that simple in my mind.
Yeah, and I hear you on the Spencer Sanders is going to have to, scramble around and beat some of those guys and make plays. I agree with that 100%. But am I alone in the fact that I believe his athletic ability is been touted way too much? I just haven't seen it. I mean, it's okay, but I mean, is it better than a Max Duggan? Is it better than Brock Purdy? I mean, Brock Purdy's no slouch. I just really haven't seen it. I keep hearing about it, that he's a great dual threat, but I haven't really seen it yet.
Yeah.
That he's that dangerous,
No, I know what you mean. And I don't think he is some type of game breaker. Like he's going to take off and break off a, 50, 60-yard run. I don't think he's that type of athlete. But I think he's more of what you want from an athletic standpoint for the modern quarterback. Now in college, with his athleticism, yeah, he can be involved in the run game right now. But his athleticism moving within the pocket, getting out, scrambling for first downs, moving the sticks, getting away from pressure when there's a breakdown and protection. That's kind of how I see him athletically. Now, everyone says he's fast as hell, but yeah. I'm kind of with you. We haven't really gotten to see that on display very often. And maybe Saturday will be the day. I doubt it, but yeah, I kind of know what you mean.
So who do you got? It sounds to me like you're leaning Oklahoma State.
No?
I'm
taking Iowa State. And the reason I like Iowa State in that football game, Oklahoma State, like, it's so tough to play an opponent that has been improving. And I know Iowa State's coming off a bye too, but like, they've been improving. They have been building momentum. And Oklahoma State hasn't played.
I know.
I mean, they haven't played. That's why I just think that's a huge disadvantage. And I continue to think that Iowa State is a unique challenge in this conference with what they do offensively, with the personnel groupings, the shifts, the motions, the 3 tight end stuff. Breece Hall, Brock Purdy. Now, I don't think they have great weapons at wide receiver. They still don't, but those tight ends make up for a lot of that. But that defense, I mean, they're going to make you work for it, and you mentioned it. Like, there's no way that Spencer Sanders doesn't make some mistakes in this game against that defense. I mean, from what we've seen, and maybe he is improved. Maybe his decision-making is better, but we still haven't seen it, right? Because we haven't seen him this year except for the one drive.
Well, and here's the thing. Last year's game between the two was incredibly close. Oklahoma State won it, but Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions. And I think he's fixed a lot of his ball security issues. Now, he is still a little bit loose with it, and he had turnovers in that game against Louisiana to start off the year.
And don't forget the worst turnover we've ever seen in the TCU
history,
game.
Which, I'm looking at interceptions. He has not thrown an interception. That was, I guess, ruled a fumble because it was backwards.
Yes.
But it's the worst play in history. But, I think he's cleaned a lot of that up. And I would worry more about Spencer Sanders with the turnovers than I would Brock Purdy. That could be a mistake by me, but
I don't trust either of them.
Okay, I mean, if that's the case, all things being equal, and they both turned it over a couple of times, give me Iowa State. You know,
Yeah.
if the turnover margin is a wash, give me Iowa State. But, you know, if Oklahoma State has an advantage there, then they're going to have a much better chance to win the football game, obviously. But I think Iowa State wins that battle.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's the game of the weekend in college football. I just hope it's entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I just want it to be entertaining.
It will be. What Big 12 game hasn't been?
That's a good point.
Which you look at this week's games in the Big 12, all of them, well, Texas is an 8.5-point favorite over Baylor, which they shouldn't be. They should be no more than a touchdown favorite. But everything is a single-digit spread. Most of them, like our game's 5.5, I believe. Most of them between 3 and 5.5-point spread. And then Baylor, Texas is 8.5.
I'll say it. I think this is going to be it is going to be an incredibly fun year in the Big 12. And that's going to lead to this conference not getting a college football playoff representative, but it is going to be entertaining. I mean, this conference is going to chew itself up. And we should just enjoy it. Just enjoy it, people. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be fun. No one's going undefeated. I really do think, the top 7 or so teams, anybody can beat anybody?
I agree with that. But I will say this. If you want Oklahoma to get back to the Big 12 championship, you root for Iowa State to beat Oklahoma State.
Completely agree. That's the
Kansas
most
State
logical thing. Kansas State's going to lose 3 games.
Yep. They're going to fall apart. They're not going to
lost their quarterback
without Skylar Thompson. Iowa State, if they can get past Oklahoma State, they are – I mean, it's not going to be smooth sailing. They are Iowa State. They've screwed this up in the past, but, they're through the real meat and potatoes of the schedule. And if you go beat Oklahoma State, there you go, boys.
Yeah, I think if Iowa State wins this football game, it essentially guarantees them a spot in the Big 12 championship game. Mm-hmm. That's how I think. All right, Ted, let's move on to the National College Football Roundup. And that's brought to you by Insurica. Do you own a business? If you do, you need Insurica in your life. Insurica is one of the country's largest insurance brokers with 30 offices throughout Oklahoma, Texas, and the Southwest. Insurica is able to customize programs by accessing the latest information from many insurance carriers. They compare and contrast coverage offerings and pricing in order to design a cost-effective, comprehensive program to meet your business's specific needs. Insurica's clients become best-in-class businesses by working with Insurica's team of advisors to manage risk. Purchasing insurance is only one way to protect your business. Best-in-class businesses win by avoiding a loss in the first place. If your business partners with Insurica, you'll save huge amounts of money and take back control of your total cost of risk. I'm an Insurica client, and you should be too. If your business wants to be best in class, connect with Insurica at insurica.com. That's INSURICA.com. Couple pieces of college football news before we preview some of the marquee games of the weekend. Kansas's Puka Williams has opted out. That is a man that has torn the Sooners apart on the ground the last couple of years, but unfortunately, his mother is having some health issues back in Louisiana, and he is going back to be closer to his family. So wish him the best. Kid is so much fun to watch, and it's really a shame that he played at Kansas.
I know it. It's a shame, but I'm glad, sadly, unless it would have been for us, because he is a beast. And I'm glad he's opting out, quite frankly. He doesn't need to go out there and injure himself playing in a worthless cause. Opt out. Go be with your mother. Prepare for the NFL draft. Keep your nose out of trouble. Stay clean, please, Puka Williams, because you got an opportunity to be a dude at the next level. I mean, I'll never forget watching him go for 250 bills on Oklahoma running the same play, one back power. I think he had 15 carries for 250 yards. So,
and
shocking.
He forced so many missed tackles in that game. It was
ridiculous.
So, and he is a utility kind of do-it-all guy, and there is a place for him in the National Football League. So Puka, it's really unfortunate you're not going to play against the Sooners this year. That's you hate to see it. But the best is family, and can't wait to watch that guy on Sundays. He is electric. One other thing, NC State quarterback Devin Leary is expected to miss 4 to 8 weeks with a broken leg. Not ideal with their big matchup with North Carolina this weekend. So
4 to 8 weeks.
When did he break? I think his fibula.
That's non-weight bearing, right?
Dude, I don't know. He's a quarterback.
Well, if you break your leg and you're out only thinking 4 to 8, just play on it.
You are such a meathead.
I mean,
just play on it, bro. Come on. Did you see his injury?
No, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, you're right. You don't. It was I wouldn't
say
it was.
It's like usually when someone has a broken leg, they don't list it as 4 to 8 weeks.
I thought that was strange as well. I was like, huh, okay, sure. But yeah, so NC State, who is kind of rolling, starting quarterback, not playing against the Tar Heels this weekend. All right, Ted, let's preview some of the best games of the weekend. And the Big Ten is back. Welcome back, Big Ten.
It's about time you joined the party.
Hey, it's good to see you guys. How's the Great White North? That's good. All right. Michigan, number 18, Michigan, is traveling to number 22, Minnesota. And I can only assume that Jim Harbaugh's khakis are already feeling a little warm with this game coming up. This is not an easy start to the season for the Wolverines. And Michigan, they should be solid on defense. They have good players, obviously, defensively. Kwity Paye is probably one of the best defensive linemen in the country. But their offense is a complete mystery. 4 new starters on the offensive line, and with Dylan McCaffrey opting out, it is Joe Milton time there in Ann Arbor. He has been thrust into the starting job, and I just don't know how good they're going to be. And then you look at Minnesota and what they did last season. I would not be surprised to see PJ Fleck and the Gophers row the boat in this one. I really like Tanner Morgan, who's back for them at quarterback. Rashad Bateman, so glad that he ended up opting back in. But the big question mark, I guess, for Minnesota is the defense. They lost a ton off of that defense, and we'll see if they can replace guys like Antoine Winfield, that were big-time players for them last year. But, dude, I'm excited for this game. I'm excited the Big Ten is back, but I wouldn't mind watching Michigan lose the opener. That wouldn't hurt me at all.
They're going to lose the opener. I mean, that's going to happen. Bateman, I think, is going to have a huge season. I mean, it's one of the most shocking things that Harbaugh can't. I mean, they've been pretty good. He's made them better than whenever he was there. But how in the world can Jim Harbaugh not get a quarterback?
I thought that was his thing.
It's supposed to be his thing. And, McCaffrey was supposed to be the next greatest thing ever, which, I can't put that on Harbaugh. A lot of that, happens where they throw some expectations on a kid that, you just never know how it's going to pan out. But nobody – you can't get anyone to play quarterback? I mean,
remember he got Shea Patterson to transfer in.
He got Shea Patterson to play worse than he did at Ole Miss.
Correct.
So explain that to me. How is he making everyone that takes a snap for his football team worse? When is the last time Michigan had anywhere close to the best quarterback in the Big Ten?
It's been a long
anywhere close
time. And he wasn't even that. Tom Brady? Has it been that long?
Drew
Henson?
Navarre had like a good year or two there, right? Maybe?
Robinson.
He
was on the cover of NCAA.
I don't even know. Was he even a quarterback, though? I don't even think he was a quarterback.
He was kind of a hybrid guy. He was fun to watch. I know
it's
that.
Like we don't have anyone else. Just go out there and do stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's shocking to me. I'm told this is supposed to be one of the premier programs in college football. At least I'm told that by Michigan people nonstop over and over and over. Quite frankly, they've been average or worse since World War II. But I'm shocked that Jim Harbaugh can't get a quarterback there. Shocked.
Yeah. I will say one thing. The Jalen Mayfield kid plays O-line for them.
Beast.
He good. He real good.
I mean, they've had great players there, just not great quarterbacks.
Yeah. And they got some question marks at wide receiver. I mean, we'll see, but I like Minnesota in that game. Row the boat, Sky Ma, PJ Fleck. Let's go, baby. Okay, another Big Ten matchup. Penn State, number 8, Penn State goes to Indiana, and Vegas knows something, Ted, because Penn State is supposed to be a serious competitor in the Big Ten, and Indiana is, while Tom Allen, I have been impressed with what he is doing at Indiana. It's still Indiana. Penn State only a 6.5-point favorite on the road. So I feel like Vegas knows something. Now, Penn State's starting running back, Journey Brown, appears to be out for the year. Noah Cain's going to take over that role for the Nittany Lions. Of course, Micah Parsons did not opt back in, and you can't really blame him. He's getting ready for the draft. He'll be picked in the top 10 at the worst. Now, Penn State's got a new offensive coordinator, so we'll see if Sean Clifford can take a step at quarterback in a new RPO-heavy system. I'm kind of interested to see how that goes for Clifford. But Tom Allen in Indiana, I will say this. They feel like a frisky team this year. They feel a little frisky. He's built a solid program. The Hoosiers offense should be explosive. And I was going through their depth chart, and they might have the best collection of names on an offense in the country. Listen to this, Ted. Quarterback for Indiana, Michael Penix.
Ooh.
Penix. Awfully close, right? Penix. Penix. They have wide receivers, Wap Phillimore and Ty Freifogel. Freifogel. Yeah.
Ooh.
That's a strong name. I'm going. I think that Wap and Freifogel are going to have big days against Penn State. But
what about Hendershot at tight end?
Now Hendershot, he's a really good player, but got accused of some things in the offseason, so I left him off the list. One involved, I believe, a domestic altercation with the cell phone where he accused a lady of cheating on him, broke into her apartment type situation. So I left Hendershot, although he is a good player, and somehow, despite some Indiana University policies, he's still on the team. I'm just going to leave it alone. Not my problem. But I think that Indiana is going to be better than people think. They got 9 starters back on defense also. So I wonder what this game is going to be like. Like, is this a game that's going to come down to the fourth quarter? Because, I mean, that's not the way you want to start the season if you're Penn State. But like I said, Indiana, Tom Allen, they're looking a little frisky.
I don't know what's going on here. Penn State won the game last year by a touchdown. Indiana wasn't all that good against anyone else. Kitty. Vegas is trying to get you in. Oh, what, 6 points? Penn State's going to kill them. This is going to be a blowout.
Put the mortgage on it, honey.
Easiest win ever. Kitty. It's going to be a field goal game. It's going to be a field goal game. I mean,
we'll wet the beak later, but I kind of like that game.
I don't know why, but that's what's going to happen.
And I don't really feel like talking about this game, but Ohio State is going to murder Nebraska, and it is going to be Nebraska's reward for forcing the Big Ten to play football. This is what they're going to get.
Do you? Okay.
You want to play football? All right, we'll give you the most talented team in the country. Here you go. Have fun. So that'll be a bloodbath.
By the way, today, Toby Rowland, Chad McKee, and I did the OU Nebraska 2000 flashback. And
I was in the stands for that game.
When's the last time you watched that game? 2000?
In 2000.
You got to go back and watch it, dude. It's awesome.
The stadium was shaking. It was when they went down when you guys went down 14-0.
It was not shaking.
10-year-old Gabe Eichert was not in a good place. I'm telling you.
You're about to start crying up there.
I was maybe thinking about crying in the stands. I thought they were going to win. But
dude, I'm telling you, man, that may be maybe the I don't know. It's probably like the second and third quarter of that game are probably the best 2 quarters of football in a long time for Oklahoma. And some of the plays just because of the years and who we've seen play, we forget how good Josh Heupel is, man. I'm telling you, legit.
I'm gonna have to
go watch it, man.
I'm gonna go watch it. I'll go watch it.
It's awesome.
I'll go watch you, Teddy. I'll go watch you play football. Don't worry.
I may have played a little bit special teams in that game, but not much.
There you go. One more game that I wanted to look at. Number 9, Cincinnati, going to number 16, SMU. And this feels like about as big as a group of 5 game can get, right? I mean, now Cincinnati, with some of the things that Luke Fickell has said this week, sounds like they maybe were just a little too scared to play the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. I'm just going to call it how I see it. But
Smart.
This will be Cincinnati's first game in 3 weeks, which we talked about it with Oklahoma State and Iowa State. I think that gives SMU a big advantage, especially coming off that Tulane win. So SMU's got that explosive up-tempo offense with Sonny Dykes. Shane Buechele continues to play at a high level, and I know that Reggie Roberson, his top wide receiver, he's done for the year with the knee, but I certainly like Buechele more than I like Desmond Ridder. I know that for a fact, but I do think Cincinnati has a better football team, a better collection of talent. I think they're more developed, but I just don't know who will be available for Cincinnati because of all their COVID issues. It's a mystery who's going to play for them.
Well, if they're not at full strength, then SMU is going to run them off the field.
Right.
I mean, that's just how it's going to be. But I hope both teams are at full strength because for the non-Power 5, for the group of 5 teams, this is going to be the biggest platform that you get. You have what I consider to be by far the best defense of non-Power 5 teams against the best offense of non-Power 5 teams. And that's what you want to see, man. I think both of these teams, Cincinnati specifically, if they were able to win this game, who knows could find themselves in a really nice bowl game at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And
I didn't even really thought of that.
And be a super tough out for somebody.
It's a physical team, man.
It's physical, and they got some dudes defensively and have had for the last 3 or 4 years.
Why? Now, I don't want to turn this Cincinnati conversation into an OU conversation, but why do they have guys that look like that on their defense? Okay, now I'm starting to sound like a fan that's just complaining.
Next year.
If
you want to make yourself feel better, go look at our defensive commit list right now.
Okay, I'll do that.
That'll make you feel better.
I'm not going to do that, but I'll take your word for it.
We got a kid 6'7", 250 defensive end.
Oh, my. All right, Ted, let's move on to our segment.
Too tall, but he's a get-off-the-bus guy.
But, God, he looks good. All right, let's move on, and let's start with our winners and losers of the week. And Teddy's winners and losers are brought to you by Advanced Weight Loss Clinic of Sand Springs. They'll help you execute a realistic and achievable weight loss plan designed for you and only you. They've got all kinds of treatments for men and women. Their licensed and trained experts combine diet and exercise with hormone therapies to maximize your results. If you're struggling with low libido or low energy, Advanced Weight Loss Clinic of Sand Springs can help with that too. They also offer Botox and fillers. To get on the path to losing weight, call 918-241-LOSE or visit their Facebook page. If you mention the podcast, you will get a free fat burner injection. All right, Ted, who do you have as your winner of the week?
Tau Kappa Epsilon, TKE. Heard of them?
Yeah. What is that, a fraternity of some sort?
Yes, fraternity. So they had this article on ESPN today about Aaron Rodgers, and they interviewed a bunch of like backup quarterbacks that have played with him just to get like some crazy off the wall stories. And Graham Harrell tells this story about whenever he was there in 2010, he and Aaron Rodgers got together really good or got along really good. And Aaron Rodgers started joking that they were like fraternity brothers. And, you know, they carried the joke on a lot, and he would throw these one-liners out there. And he even said, like, just brought up 3 random letters and said that we're in the Tau Kappa Epsilon, TKE. So during training camp, there's like they have their training camp at St. Norbert College.
Of course.
I guess that's in Wisconsin somewhere. And there was like a ball boy that was there working the camp. And he heard them like talking about being fraternity brothers. And he's like, oh, hey, what fraternity you guys in? And Graham Harrell's like, he wanted to tell him they're really not, but Aaron Rodgers loved like playing it out so much that he's like, we're TKEs. And the dude's like, I'm a TKE too. Are you guys serious? And they're like, yeah, Tau Kappa Epsilon. Yeah, for sure. The kid's like so stoked, and Aaron Rodgers thinks it's funny. And the kid's like, hey, we've got a mixer, a social mixer coming up. It's a coronation. It's called the Coronation Crush. Would you guys want to come? And Aaron Rodgers is like, you're damn right we want to come. So Aaron Rodgers and Graham Harrell go to this frat house. They have some party. They're playing beer pong and flip cup. And there's like a sorority there. And they're going to crown like the queen or whatever. And all the guys are like getting down on a knee. And they're doing all this weird stuff with them. So for one night, the TKEs at St. Norbert College with Aaron Rodgers and Graham Harrell had the night of their lives.
That is incredible. Now,
funny, dude. It's a great – go check out that article if you get a chance. It's got several of them in
Do you
there.
know Graham Harrell at all?
Don't.
Have you ever talked – so I've interviewed him several times, talked to him. That dude's the fucking man. Like, he is such a cool guy. Someone's hiring him as a head coach sooner rather than later.
Well, we'll see. He needs to have a good year this year, which, you know, I think he can. You know, filling in that spot where, you know, I guess they wanted Kingsbury, but they got Harrell. We'll see how he does, man.
Yeah. All right, Ted, who do you have as your loser of the week?
It's Magic, man.
Oh.
I felt horrible for the guy. He said it broke his heart.
He was legitimately sad.
I know.
Like, he was really sad.
It's like, man, I feel so bad for the guy. I know you've made a ton of money, but he's like, I was crushed. I mean, when they told me, I was shocked. I didn't expect that. It broke my heart.
Did you hear me? He was like, I thought this was my team. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, it's not your team.
It's Tua's team now, Ryan. I've played with several guys that have played with him, and they say he is one of the coolest dudes.
It's easy to be the cool dude whenever you're the smartest person in the room at all times, right? I mean, you could
it
just
doesn't hurt being a genius. That helps.
And he's a gunslinger, man. He will throw you into some problems, but he'll make some plays. He had he was 7th at QBR in the league right now, 70% completion percentage, 10 touchdowns, and the Dolphins actually have a chance in their division, and they're benching him for Tua, which, you drafted the kid, whatever. Go win some football games.
It is an interesting decision.
The timing is weird.
Well, it's the bye week, and the timing is weird because they're winning. They're 3-3. The Dolphins.
They look pretty good. Pretty good all-around football team.
I will say this. Tua better have learned from watching Fitzmagic. Get the ball out of your hand, young man. I think Fitzpatrick was getting it out of his hand, I think second quickest in the league. And that has masked a bad offensive line there in Miami. Like him being able to make such quick decisions, knowing exactly where he's going with it. Also his mobility, his toughness. Like, Tua, get rid of it or else you are going to get killed.
That's another reason that it's a shocking decision that, if that's what you're seeing with their offensive line,
that's why I was so surprised.
Seeing it too.
Well, it's like,
hey, we're playing okay. We got a 38-year-old quarterback right now, which, hey, he's made a lot of money. We don't care if he gets killed out there, but we don't want to kill our brand new investment. So it's strange, but I felt so bad for the guy.
He reacted like he was heartbroken.
I guess I've got no choice now but to do what I can to help Tua win football games.
Did you see what he put out there? He was like, well, I basically got fired yesterday, and now I had to spend my day in a 4-hour meeting with the guy that fired me and the guy that they replaced me with and took my job. I was like,
welcome to the NFL.
That guy's Fitzpatrick's the best. All right, Teddy, my winners and losers are brought to you by Sound Advice. A lot of us are watching our favorite football teams from home this year, which is why you need to get ready for game day with a home theater system from our friends at Sound Advice. Sound Advice can customize your home entertainment system indoors or outdoors. Sound Advice did the Wi-Fi network and all the audio visual at my new house, and it is awesome. They hide all the wires in the cable boxes so it looks great, and I can control every TV in my house from my phone, and my internet has been flawless. For the best home theater systems in the Oklahoma City area, call Sound Advice at 405-549-3880 or visit soundadviceokc.com. Okay, Ted, this one is going to be weird, but my winner of the week is Bo Pelini. And I know the LSU defense has been god-awful, but everyone has momentarily forgotten about that, which is why Bo Pelini is my winner of the week, because these LSU self-imposed sanctions have distracted everyone from the fact that they are playing horrible football on defense. Now, LSU, they are taking away 8 scholarships over the next 2 years. They are reducing recruiting because a booster stole money from a hospital and paid it to an O-lineman's dad, O-line recruit's dad, and it was like $180,000 over years. I was like, what in the world? Stole it from a hospital. Embezzlement. Now, they also, probably the best part about it, they also banned Odell Beckham Jr. from the LSU facilities for 2 full years because he was passing out money to guys on the field after they won the national championship, which I think should be perfectly legal. The fact that that's against the rules is ridiculous. But,
I'd ban him from the facility just because, but yeah, I'm with you on the money thing.
But so they've got all of this going on, and this is the best thing imaginable for Bo Pelini. Nobody right now, currently, remembers that they gave up 44 to Mississippi State. No one currently remembers that they gave up 45 to Missouri. They're just talking about the sanctions and about OBJ getting banned from the facility. So enjoy it, Bo Pelini. You are the winner of the week. until you guys lose to South Carolina on Saturday, and everyone remembers that your defense is terrible.
Oh my! I thought whenever you had Bo Pelini as your winner, you were going to tell me that surprise. He's been told he can go on permanent vacation.
He will get paid for the year and relieved of his
permanent
duties.
Vacation, but no, look at South Carolina. Okay, with a nice little win over Auburn. Maybe they found something there, but yeah,
they found a
bad.
terrible quarterback named Bo Nix that plays quarterback for Auburn. He was terrible in that game.
There's another, they need to have some self-imposed sanctions. Gus Malzahn does to get the heat off his back right now.
I feel like he's always on the hot seat. Like he is permanently on a hot seat there at Auburn.
Which I got to tell you, not to get off on a tangent, but let me just say this quickly. College football needs to stop giving these coaches these contracts with those huge buyouts. They got to stop it.
Well, how about, did you see that didn't Tennessee, they either gave Jeremy Pruitt a raise or extended him, maybe both, after they had started 2-0 this year? And you've seen what's happened to them in the last two, right?
Right.
I mean, they just got their shit kicked in by Kentucky. I mean, but they extended the guy. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it is a horrible look whenever a coach signs a multi-year $5 or $6 million deal, goes somewhere, loses for 2 years, gets fired, and gets paid $35 million to take a hike. It's just, the optics are horrible, and it's really killing any claim that the NCAA has of not paying the players. It really is.
Yeah. And I think because I think Malzahn got extended. I think his buyout's like $20 million. I think Tom Herman's is like 15. Like, the buyouts are huge. I mean, they're massive.
I would say, Gus, I'm not going to fire you on principle alone, but I'm just going to stop funding the football program until you decide to walk away on your own. That's what I'm going to do.
And Gus Malzahn's lawyer would be like, that's not how this works. But yeah, I'm with you on the buyout stuff, but it is the way it is. Wow. Gus Malzahn, $21 million buyout. Wow. I just Googled it. Wow. All right, to my loser of the week. There's only one choice here, and it is the University of Texas. Mm-hmm. And it is for a multitude of reasons. They have all kinds of problems right now. Mm-hmm. Their football team is not any good. It doesn't appear that they have the right man for the job at head coach. They have a dangerous game against Baylor this weekend, who has not played football in quite a few weeks. If they lose that game, oh my gosh, watch out. But that is not even their biggest problem. They've got the Eyes of Texas controversy that, despite what Sam Ehlinger says, is probably dividing that locker room. Now, not only is it dividing the locker room, but that divide has spread to the marching band, Teddy. The marching band is not even going to play at the game on Saturday because the band director took a survey and a bunch of the musicians in the marching band said they didn't want to play. So guess what? The band director said the musicians are divided on the subject and won't play because they don't have, quote, necessary instrumentation. But
we lost the brass section.
The brass section.
We're divided, but the whole brass section was out.
On top of all of that, this is where it gets, it's just unbelievable. On top of all of this, according to the Associated Press, a former photographer for the Austin American-Statesman is suing the owners and handlers of Bevo, saying he suffered, quote, permanent neck and back injuries when the longhorn steer charged out of its pen and plowed into several people at the 2019 Sugar Bowl. Now, a lot of us remember this. It is when Bevo went after Uga, which was everyone was playing the clip. Oh, look at Bevo go after Uga. Oh, let's hope that Uga's safe. Well, it turns out there was a photographer that got rolled in that scenario, and the photographer is seeking damages of $200,000 to $1 million. Nothing is going right for the University of Texas currently. It's unreal. They are my loser of the week.
Well, they are the loser. I'd tell the photographer to eat shit. I'm not paying him anything. I saw that stupid video. He did get hit by that cow. And even if he did, on his pass, it says that you waive any liability to anything whenever you're down there on that playing surface. Wouldn't give him a dime. I'd actually countersue him. He wasn't hurt.
Here's a countersuit for you being a moron.
Yeah. He was laughing about it, showing people the mark that he had on his back, at the game. So no, sorry. No money for you. As far as the band is concerned, don't care. Play or don't play, don't care. As for the football team is concerned, I need them to beat Baylor. Follow me here. Before the season started, I made the prediction that Tom Herman would be fired after losing at Kansas. Okay? And my prediction is still alive. If they beat Baylor, he will not make it to Kansas. Okay? So what I hope happens is somehow they find a way past Baylor. Then, whenever they're out of town, get destroyed and embarrassed by Oklahoma State. That's going to have everyone riled up. Then they lose to West Virginia at home. The team doesn't do the Eyes of Texas thing. It's a whole disaster. The writing's on the wall. The team gives up on them, and they go up to Kansas, lose the football game, and he's done. I'm telling you, Gabe, this is going to be better than Babe Ruth calling his shot at the 32 series.
What an elaborate prediction. I love it. I love it. We'll see. We'll see if it plays out. But, yeah, just things not great at Texas right now. Weird energy. Weird energy there in Austin. All right, Ted, let's move on and let's wet the beak. That is brought to you by Tim Hughes Custom Homes. Are you looking to build your dream home? If so, Tim Hughes is the man you're looking for. Tim Hughes Custom Homes is a one-stop shop for all your home building needs. He can find you a lot. He can find you an architect. He'll find you financing. And, of course, he can build your dream home exactly the way you want it. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, Tim found my wife and me a lot. He found us an architect and built our new house. Tim and his team were so easy to work with. He is still helping us when we have questions about things around the house. He's also built several office buildings. So if your business is looking to build a custom office, Tim Hughes is your man. You can see Tim's custom builds throughout Gaillardia, Nichols Hills, Oak Tree, Stone Mill, and Rose Creek. It is a great time to build the house of your dreams. For more information and to see Tim's spectacular work, visit his Instagram page at Tim Hughes Custom Homes or visit timhughescustomhomes.com. Okay, Thursday night football is Giants-Eagles. Gross. No, we're not doing that one. So instead, let's wet the beak with the best NFL matchup of this weekend, and that is the Steelers traveling to Nashville to take on the Titans. And according to NFL research, Teddy, we've got stats.
Okay.
This wet the beak. This game is the fifth game in NFL history between two undefeated teams in week 7 or later. The winner of the previous 4 such games went on to make the Super Bowl that season. I believe the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Vrabel, was involved and was on the winning side of 2 of those games when he was a Patriot.
No?
Against the – I don't know. I didn't go that far in the research. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You have to give up at some point.
Yeah, I was like, I'm connecting a lot of dots here. But two quarterbacks that are playing really well with Ryan Tannehill and Ben Roethlisberger. How about Tannehill and his resurgence? Man, that dude is earning that contract. He is playing. I mean, he's got to start. He's creeping into MVP talks. Like he's out there on the outside hanging out like, hey, guys, I'm just hanging out. Just remember I'm here. He's playing really well. Big Ben is back. He's playing well. I think when you look at the playmakers for both teams, the Titans have a little bit of an edge with Derrick Henry being an absolute monster. Now, unfortunately, my boy Taylor Lewan he's out for the rest of the season with that torn ACL, and I've talked to him about it. Don't worry, people. He's going to come back bigger, better, stronger than ever. Don't worry about him. He'll be just fine. # no bad days. But that Steelers defense is legit, Teddy. The more I watch them, they are impressive. They are physical. They can rush the passer.
D-line is brutal.
They stuff the run, and you mentioned that D-line. I don't know if Derrick Henry's going to get off in this one because the Steelers are number 2 in the NFL in rush defense, and they are physical. The Titans are having to shuffle the O-line because of Lewan's injury. I think this is going to be an incredibly physical football game. We'll see if Vrabel finds another rule loophole to get his team another win. That guy is unbelievable with that shit. But the Titans are a 1-point favorite. I like the Steelers in this one because I do think that defensive line has an advantage against the Titans' offensive line, and I think they'll be able to – I don't know what the definition of holding Derrick Henry in check is right now, but I think they'll be able to do whatever that looks like, and I think the Steelers win this football game.
Whenever I saw that you put this game as the wet the beak, all I could think of was the Jack Nicholson gif where he's
just yeah.
Yes. I need Morpheus to plug this in to the back of my brain, Matrix style, this football game. This is what I'm talking about. I love this game. Steelers, defense, Titans run the football with that big tailback. Their defensive line gets after it too. This is a fantastic game. I love Vrabel. He's my mini Belichick right now, although he's a gigantic human being. He's my mini Belichick. He's when Bill retires, I'm just going to have to transfer over to Vrabel as my team, Tennessee. I can't believe you're doing this to me. I love it. Love this game. Love everything about it. Steelers win. I agree.
Nice. I hope it's as good of a game as I think it's going to be.
You better be able to enjoy a low-scoring football game, folks.
Oh, yeah. A little defensive battle, a little field position battle, special teams makes a difference. Oh, Teddy, you're fired up.
The only thing missing from this football game is going to be snow. That is it. That's the only thing. Come on, Mother Nature. Let's go.
Brett Kern is one of the only guys that I played with in Tennessee that is still there. He's going to have a big day breaking out the lob wedge. Punter, Teddy. Huge role in the field position.
Little checkup. I like it.
See. Who do you like, him or Chris Boswell? I don't remember who the specialists are. But
I think Boswell's a field goal kicker.
He is. He definitely is. I don't know who's the Steelers punter. I don't remember. I don't know. They don't punt that much. They're good on offense. Mm-hmm. All right, Ted, let's move on. Let's finish up with everybody's favorite segment, and that's Keeping It Local, where we highlight what's going on in the great state of Oklahoma, and that's brought to you by Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School. As schools reopened in the fall, parents wanted to provide the best possible educational experience and spiritual development for their children. There's no better place for that than Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School. A 1-to-1 iPad setting makes McGuinness students fully prepared to continue high-level learning from home if necessary. A 12-to-1 student-to-teacher ratio guarantees no student is overlooked. In addition to athletic programs and clubs, Bishop McGuinness's college prep curriculum offers 22 AP courses. Financial aid is available. For more information, visit bmchs.org. Okay, so I was reading an article by Jenny Carlson in the Oklahoman, and the OSSAA has changed the format of the playoffs for high school football in the state of Oklahoma. So 2 major changes, Ted. Number 1, every team has a playoff spot, which means that there will be an extra play-in round in every classification. Number 2 change. In districts where the Rona has disrupted things and messed up the schedule, playoff seeding will be decided by coaches' rankings instead of by record. So the OSSAA is trying their best to let all these kids play and get through this whole thing. But there are a couple interesting things. If a team wins a playoff game, but then can't play the next game because of the Rona, then the team that they actually beat in the previous round gets to play in the next round in their place. Which I looked at, I was like, what? What in the world? But okay. But also, if a team gets this one is cool and it is interesting. If a team gets beat in the playoffs and they had regular season games canceled, if they can find an opponent, or maybe it's the opponent they missed the game with,
Make them up.
they can make them up. I like that. You just have to get it in before the state championship game in your classification. I saw that and I was like, yes, that's awesome.
I love it. I love all of it. On one condition, if you can guarantee me that this is a one-off situation, because I mean, I love everything about it. These kids through last spring, through the summer, through this fall, it's been terrible. It's not what, going into your senior year is supposed to be. It's not what any year in school is supposed to be like. So, yeah, let everyone have a chance to see what it's like to play in the high school football playoffs, where something special can happen. You can win a football game and you're on to the next round. I'm all for it. But I don't want them to say, hey, you know what? This was an overwhelming success. Why don't we do this every year? I don't want any of that crap. Do not turn this into a participation trophy situation where everyone makes it. I'm not down with that. But this year, you've got my 100% full-on support. I'm down. I like it.
As do I. But sometimes, Teddy, my mind works in a weird way. You know that about me. Is it crazy that I think some school is going to try to sabotage some other school and send a bunch of kids that they know have the coronavirus out on the field against them because they know that they will infect that team and, in fact, will be able to play in their place the next week as the virus spreads through the team that won the game and they get to replace them? Is it bad that I think some teams will think about doing that?
I was thinking the same thing.
Okay, I mean, I'm not the only one.
That's the first thing.
Thanks, man.
Except my mind is worse. I was thinking if I was a coach and I lost, how would I be able to pull that off? So, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't do anything nefarious. I would just try to figure out a way to screw with the results somehow of the testing.
How bad of a coronavirus situation does the team have to have where they can't play in the next round in the playoffs and the team that they beat actually gets to play in that game? Like,
I mean, if you can find 11 players on your team. Yeah, if you got
11, you're playing.
Play, right. I mean, who cares at that point? Yeah.
I wonder.
No, but it's cool. I think it's great. I think it's the right decision. And, everyone has said that this is going to be a big money-making thing for the OSSAA, which, okay, fine. I'm happy with that. I could care less if they're making money off of it. Let's do it. Let's find a way to get them some revenue that they need. But don't try and sell me on this again next year. Don't do it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But there was, a lot of games that got postponed or canceled, especially in district play. So hopefully a lot of teams get to make those up. The schools get to make up some of that revenue.
Like,
that's the coolest part for me.
Let's go play a couple football games. Because and this is what is frustrating about this year, because we're playing here. Now, it's been tough. Everyone hasn't played their full schedule, but some states, there's not kids playing. And how do you get evaluated, to make it to the next level? Like, I'll talk about myself, for instance. Like, had I not had an opportunity to go play or go to a school for a camp in the summer and then play my senior, this make huge jumps between their junior and senior year physically. So, I mean, it's frustrating. Get in as much football as you can.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, Ted, episode 53 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop Monday morning. Just a reminder, you can hear Teddy from 2 to 6 on Sports Talk 1400. You can hear me from 3 to 5 on SiriusXM's Big 12 radio channel 375. Hope you all have a great weekend. Until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening, and do what you always do.